Wholly independent and completely untethered since 2009, this is the Marty Riemer Show podcast.
Riemer.
From the epicenter, Seattle, USA.
West Side.
From their west side basement, lodged between the mold and the bad memories.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Here are your hosts, Marty Riemer and somebody else.
Hello, and welcome to the podcast. What? Okay, good. Yaz is shouting things in my ear. Actually, he's never shouting. I wished he would because I'm wearing headphones. I can't hear a damn thing. I'm listening to the radio right now. Anyhow, welcome to the podcast. It's Thursday, Cinco de Mayo, and what a very special Thursday show we have in store for you. It seemed a little low energy to begin with. That's because Yaz was saying, are we even on? We have a very special guest co-host today joining us from the radio side of things. Hell, I'm on the radio too, people. Don't cry a tear for me. We have Sean Stewart, music director for 103.7 The Mountain. She's our co-host today.
Good morning, Marty.
Look at that. Look at her. She looks luscious today. Nice to see you here, Sean.
Nice to see you, Marty.
We always are planning on having Sean in, but her schedule on the radio conflicts with the podcast.
That's correct.
And yesterday, it turned out for the first time that my schedule with the podcast conflicted with my radio job, because right after I was done here, I was supposed to race down to the broadcast studios for a very important all-staff meeting, and I did not make it there in time. It was an emergency preparedness meeting where the radio station was informing its staff on what to do in case of a natural disaster. It was kind of a downer of a meeting, really. And being that I missed a lion's share of the information that was imparted on us, but I did get one piece of information, and that is in case of a disaster, God forbid, let's just get that right out. We don't want it to happen. We just want to be prepared if it does. My radio program in the afternoon will be turned over to Sean Stewart.
That is correct. It's true. And not just me, but me and Miles Montgomery.
Yeah, the guy from the heavy metal station. Yeah,
yep,
so
from the men's room, and that should be interesting.
So basically, during a natural disaster, I will be digging my family out of rubble and at the same time lamenting my loss of another job. They're already preparing me. I might as well fill out the unemployment paperwork now in case of a natural disaster.
Just have it ready.
Start paying me unemployment immediately, because how does that work out? What do I not present a credible enough figure that in the case of some sort of an ominous event that I could guide the people with tender care through the trials and tribulations?
I don't think anyone wants to hear a 520 funny after a natural disaster. Although it probably would be better than listening to me and Miles talk about natural disaster, because he's just going to be like, dude, that guy is such a douche. That guy from the National Security Advisor, he's such a douche, man.
That's why they brought him in. Okay, I get it now. You need somebody to call a spade a spade.
And keep it common, because there's going to be a lot of people listening from all walks of life.
It's weird because had they afforded me the respect to let me keep my show during a disaster, I would have done it. But in the back of my head, I would have said to myself, I'm not the best for this job, because I don't like serious...
You panic and squeal like a baby?
I don't really like serious broadcasting. So when it gets serious, I'm like, let's turn this over to somebody else. Who's out there? Oh, look, Sean.
Marty, it's weird. They said... When they started the meeting, you weren't there, obviously. When they started the meeting, they said everyone is aware of their roles. Everyone already knows what role they're going to be playing in case of a natural disaster. And by the way, they kept saying it's not if, it's when. But I had no idea that they had planned to have me on the air with Miles Montgomery doing the afternoon show. I found out in that meeting. So now I have to think about how. So
that also implies that I know what my role is. I do not know what my role is.
Your role is to take care of your family, Marty.
Fetal position. Fetal position is my role. Here are a couple of headlines that have come across the desk this morning that I want to share with you, and then we want to introduce our fabulous guests who will be playing for you with a full complement of players. So much so that we've kind of stretched the capabilities of the moldy basement here. We love having a full band in, although it's a little stressful at times. We shortage of microphones. We should do a little fun drive for microphones. And
Headphones too.
Headphones too. Yeah, everyone wants to hear themselves play. A bunch of narcissists. But don't take away my headphones.
Yeah.
Because I need to hear my voice and pretend I'm playing radio here. Today is the day. The city of Seattle today rolls out the new online registry that allows residents and businesses to choose whether they receive the Yellow Pages phone books or not. Oh, hallelujah.
Hey, finally.
Man, oh man. God, this is the great thing about living in a progressive city. Seattle becomes the first city in the country to set out the opt-out registry for the Yellow Pages, which whenever it gets dumped, and I have 2 driveways and 18 servants in this place, 2 driveways, so they always dump one on the one driveway, one on the other driveway, and I'm always like, just dump it straight into the recycle bin. Do not make me lift it up and put it into my own recycle bin. If I were at someone's house and I saw them all of a sudden, say, hold on, Marty, let me look this up in the Yellow Pages, I'd think I was Marty McFly, and I'd traveled back, and I can't change the past, and all that. So now you can opt out. The city says some more than 2 million Yellow Page phone books are recycled in Seattle every year at a cost of $350,000 to you and me.
Wow.
The Yellow Page folks don't pick that up. And homes and businesses receive an estimated 17,500 tons of unwanted paper in the form of junk mail and Yellow Pages phone books. So you can opt out of the phone book and catalogs as well.
When I was a kid, Marty, my mother, when we would travel, any town we went to, she would love to sit in the hotel room and read the Yellow Pages. It was like, that was the greatest. She liked to learn about the town by reading the Yellow Pages. So she was supposed to be here today with us, by the way, but she will be very disappointed that people will be saying no to the Yellow Pages.
Well, she can still, she doesn't have to
You can
opt
send them
out.
all to Mom.
What was there a rhyme or reason to how she sifted through the Yellow Pages, or did she just start with?
I think she started with A, and she would flip through and look at all the interesting things they had, the antique shops and restaurants, the pet grooming services and dentists, and she loved it.
Gosh,
loved it.
I would go straight to P for pawn shop, get me a gun, blow my head off. That would be if that was the way I was spending my vacation. Also, this out today, top 20 baby names for 2010. Let me just read off the 3 top, because we are such a television society. Let me read off the top 3 boy names and then ask you which shows people were watching when they were having babies or making babies. Number 3, Michael. Number 2, Ethan. Number 1, Jacob.
Well, Jacob has to be Twilight, right?
Well, I was thinking Lost.
Oh, yeah,
Jacob,
no, that's too
Ethan,
sophisticated, Marty. Because
Jacob,
people
Ethan,
who watch
and Michael.
Lost are grown-ups. People who are having babies are 15. So it's definitely Jacob from Twilight.
I had a baby last year. But I named mine Benjamin because he's going to be evil and have bug eyes.
An evil mastermind.
And then the most popular baby girl names for 2010, I have no idea where these all come from. Emma, Sophia, and Isabella.
Emma was Rachel's baby on Friends. And
it's a little late to be picking that up.
You know what? I heard that got really big after she named her baby Emma.
Right, but
so
that was 10 years ago.
Still some folks. It's in syndication now, Marty.
But
Still
Isabella is number 1? Isabella,
Bella, that's Twilight as well.
Oh, yeah.
Bella from Twilight.
Are those
You got to get with the tweens, Marty.
Those kids are having babies?
Those kids are having babies,
Jeez.
you bet. They're not chaste like Isabella was.
They
in
learn no
Twilight.
lessons from those books whatsoever.
Exactly.
You're just supposed to gaze
They're
longingly
just having sex with vampires.
at the dudes, and that's it. And then finally, this story here, UCLA students come close to finding bin Laden 2 years before special forces do. This is not a made-up story. 5 students at UCLA and 2 geography professors were teaching a class, or taking and teaching a class called Remote Sensing in the Environment, where they used remote sensing data, whatever that is, high-resolution satellite imagery, and an analysis of life characteristics to figure out where bin Laden most likely was hiding. These are the kind of awesome college classes that I thought I would be taking when I was a high school senior enrolling in college. I thought I'll be taking nothing but classes to find terrorists and whatnot, and instead I was taking Psych 101 and garbage like that. Their thinking published... so based on their class studies, they developed a probability model that pointed to a Pakistani city 230 miles from Abbottabad. 230 miles. So That's like if
That's pretty close.
If Bin Laden were hiding in Seattle, they would have sent special forces to Spokane.
Right.
But there was an 88 points, according to their analysis, there was an 88.6% chance that Bin Laden would be found in the area where Abbottabad is located. So there was an 82% chance he was in Puyallup. So I think retroactively, you can always say,
Look how close we were.
You know, fortune tellers always do that. They always look back and say, I predicted all these events behind us. Looking forward is always a little more challenging. So those were some of the interesting stories that I came across. Now, let's welcome our fascinating guests to the program. A full band is here, anxiously waiting to play. Their front man is a gentleman who it was like one of our best shows ever.
Oh.
No pressure, Alan.
Yeah, don't let us down. He's been on previously. He is the drummer for Yes. He was in John Lennon's Plastic Ono band. His own band is called White, not because he's racist, people, but that happens to be his name. Ladies and gentlemen, Alan White is here in studio.
All right, thank you.
Am I the only one applauding? Come on!
Sorry.
Well, my band won't applaud. Yeah, we only play black music, though.
Well, that's good. Balance it all out. Alan, good to see you.
Good to see you. Yeah.
You haven't aged a day since last time you were
come on.
In here. Even though you should age, you should be aging twice as fast as the rest of us because you're the busiest man in rock and roll.
Well, I tend to do a lot of things, yes.
You are the godfather of drummers. Dave, as soon as you...
Godfather of drummers.
That's clearly it. He and his band White are performing at the Synergy in Northwest tomorrow, May 6th, at the Moore Theater. We've been talking a lot about this show. This is a convergence of classical with rock and roll, featuring performances by Alan White and White, Queensryche,
Yes.
Jeffrey Castle, John Popper is a special guest on the bill. And it's a benefit for Music Matters, which is your wife's pet project.
Well, it's kind of Music Aid Northwest, really, of which we're part of the board, and we kind of were the founders of it quite a few years ago. In fact, about 5 years ago. And about 3 years ago, we came up with the idea of doing a license plate where the money that you pay for a specialized license plate goes back to music education in schools. And yesterday, the governor signed the bill.
Yay!
Congratulations.
Is the band applauding that? Does the band care about that?
Well, I'm sure they do. Anyhow, but it took about 3 years to get to that point. And,
I remember last year when you were here, you were talking about it, and it was kind of pie in the sky vision. Let's see.
Yeah, it was funny because one of her aides said, "Yes, this is Alan White from the band Yes," and she said, yes." I said, and I shook her hand and stuff. But
yeah, you know, I don't know if people know this, but the state put a more official moratorium on those special commemorative plates because too many organizations were coming out, like, you know, Save the Bull Weevil or whatever. You know, everyone had their pet project, and so they said, let's put the brakes on this. So they made an exception for...
Well, no, it actually, I think it got lifted, but they're doing very few of them. But ours seem to make it to the top of the list.
So that's excellent. And now I hear the catch is that the organization has to pay for the plates themselves.
Well, not really. We got to pay the startup costs, which is part of this concert and why it's happening. You know, we have to come up with $35,000, and of which we've got about 15 now. So we're just working at it, and we've got another 60 days to raise it, and we have enough signatures. We had to get at least 3,500. So we've got the signatures. We just need to make the money.
All right.
Get it.
How will we get the plates? How do we actually...
I think you just go ask for, when you renew your plates and stuff like that, just ask for a specialized one. You want to get Music Matters.
And then does a portion of that, the money that we pay to get our plates, go back to Music Matters, or is it just to raise awareness?
Actually, all of the specialized part of it goes back to, it goes through Music Aid Northwest to charities, well, not charities, basically music education. Mm-hmm. So we send it to schools. They can buy instruments and
It's all about keeping music programs alive in schools.
It's just a clever way around the system right now.
Right.
Very clever indeed.
Well, it's a proven fact that...
what does the plate look like? I want to know.
We're working on designs right now. We have one that everybody seems to like. And I actually have Roger Dean, who does the artwork for Yes. He was working on one, but we're not sure whether that'd be too distracting.
The devil's horns? Is it the devil's horns?
No,
People will be driving right up to your bumper to try
What's going on there on that guy's plate?
Yeah. Psychedelic.
Actually, also, it might look a little bit like 70s stuff, and they might think, I wonder what they're doing in that club.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some statistics that you're more likely to get yanked over if you're wearing a Music Matters. I keep saying Music Matters, and you're saying Music Aid Northwest.
Music Matters is the license plate project, and Music Aid Northwest is the kind of company,
the parent organization.
Yeah.
If you listen back to this podcast and you listen to my first 6 questions for Alan, you'll know that I got every single thing wrong about in the setup. It's amazing I got his name right.
Oh, okay.
And
it's one L.
I would have gotten that wrong. But I did get right. You were a racist. I think.
No, absolutely not.
Totally kidding. All right. Alan White is here. He's part of the Synergia Northwest deal. And then, in case you don't know, he and his band Yes are playing with Styx at the Chateau Saint Michel Winery on my anniversary, July 29th. July 29th at the Chateau Saint Michel Winery. It's Yes and Styx. Do you look forward to...
playing on Marty's anniversary?
To playing on my anniversary?
I'm going to be thinking about it all day.
I bet, because I will probably have forgotten at that point.
Well, we're doing... That actually is near the end of the tour. We're starting the 28th of June. So I pretty much have been all around America by the time I get to there.
And the whole time with Styx?
That whole part of the tour is with Styx. Yeah.
I know you have to be polite to the folks you're sharing the headline with, but do you die a little bit inside every time they sing "Babe"?
Oh no! I probably won't be there.
What does that mean?
Well, if we're last,
fly in,
if we're the headliners on the show and we're after them, I probably get there about 15 minutes before we go on. So.
Yeah.
That's what tends to happen on the road. It's like you hear the music every night and you just don't want to hear it anymore.
Now, are you guys like the members of Fleetwood Mac? Did each one of the members of Yes arrive in their own limousine?
No.
You'll travel together?
It's not limousine anymore.
Don't shatter the illusion for us, Alan.
No, come on. It's
your own Ford Fiesta?
It's a 14-passenger van. Sometimes with a whole band in it. So
he's choppering in. He choppers in, gets lowered by harness to the stage.
Nowadays, economically, bands do the same thing. They have to, because it costs a hell of a lot of money to go on the road.
How did it work in the days of the Beatles or the John Lennon Plastic Ono Band? I mean, the economics weren't... are they that different?
They made so much money that they didn't even know themselves who was paying for what. So, they just get pointed in that direction. That's what happened back then.
Did you ever officially go on tour with the Plastic Ono Band, like as in pack up in one city and move to another? Or?
It was pretty exclusive, kind of one-off gigs. Mm-hmm. I did the live piece in Toronto, then... Most of it was recording, like Instant Karma and then the Imagine album. And then we did one more concert. I got a call one day, and it was John. And he said, we've got a gig at the Lyceum Ballroom tonight. Come down there. And so we just turned up. I didn't know what we were going to play. And there was Yoko and him and Klaus and myself. Nobody else. And then... About half an hour before we went on stage, Eric Clapton walked in with the Delaney and Bonnie band, which he was playing with at that time, and they all got on stage, and we got another drum kit, and then Jim Gordon played the drums, and then I had Keith Moon come up when we were playing the song, and he beat the hell out of Mike. He was standing there with his eyes were about this wide, and I'm going, oh my God. Here we go. And we basically played one song, and it was a jam that lasted about an hour. maybe 50 minutes. And nobody knew how to get out of the song. It was just one lick over and over with people taking solos. And from experience in jams in clubs before, the only way a drummer's the key to getting out of a song. I just sped up so fast nobody could play anymore.
That's the answer. Huh?
It became one note.
That's awesome. And that was after an hour and a half. You finally came up with that out.
I thought, how do we get out of this? It's just going on and on and on, and I just got faster.
Was anybody giving each other looks like?
Everybody was looking at me. It's getting faster and faster, and I got faster and faster until it was so fast it was like, and then bump. That's how you do it.
As I recall, that you told the story last time of when you played the Toronto gig, which was John Lennon's first public performance since the break of the Beatles, and it was kind of a similar situation, not the hour-long jam, but that you had no idea what you were getting into when they recruited you for the job.
We rehearsed on the plane, and he just said, okay, we're doing this number, and I had a pair of sticks. I was playing on the seat in front of me in the plane, and 2 acoustic guitars, and then next thing I know, I'm at this place with 30,000 people, and Little Richard was on stage. I always remember that when we got there. So I watched him for a while. And then Gina Vincent was running around backstage, and it was just all these icon kind of faces. And we got ready to do the gig. I got on stage, and all there was a drum stool. And I thought, well, this is great. And they built a drum kit around me. And
you sat down and they started building.
Yeah. It was just like one piece came in after another, and I got a cymbal, hi-hat, snare drum, and I was ready to go. And John went 1, 2, 3, 4, and I went, what? Yeah. That's how quick everything was.
You know who we need for emergency emergency preparedness is Alan. He's obviously a cool customer.
Exactly.
He will just sit down and deal with it.
I was going to say that before. It's like you might have no studio to broadcast from.
Well, that was half the meeting. The part of the meeting that I heard was, by the way, none of you will be able to make it into the studio.
You sitting in a pile of rubble with a microphone.
Yeah, all the bridges will have collapsed, but I'll still be here in my basement.
I think they're counting on us being there. Like, that's why you'll be here in the basement doing the podcast. I'll already be at work and everything. That's why I'm taking over. But Alan, I heard that you also had to learn the Yes songs really quickly. Like, initially you had 3 days, and then maybe it got extended to 3 months.
It was the same kind of thing. They didn't tell me they had a gig 3 days later. And John Anderson and Chris Squire, they asked me to join the band, and I said, oh, great. I thought we were going to have like 2 weeks rehearsal because the music is pretty complex. And we left. I didn't actually have any rehearsals. I just listened to the music, and we rehearsed the afternoon before the gig. And
how'd that gig go?
Yeah, actually, funnily enough, the first gig, I got everything pretty much right. Second, third, fourth gig, I messed up a whole bunch. But after about a week, it started clicking in.
When you messed up, would they turn around and glower?
Yeah, do they chastise you?
What, sorry?
Would they turn around and glower when you messed up, or were they?
No. They were pretty cool. They were too busy doing their thing. Because it's, with some of the Yes music, it's so complex. You just listen to what you're doing and keep a little ear out for somebody else. The problem is if one guy messes up, the whole thing falls apart.
Oh my God!
With that kind of music.
When you join a band that's already, formed, were there costume requirements? Were they like, Alan, you need to wear a cape?
No. That's Rick Wakeman.
Yes.
That was his. Rick Wakeman was the flying cape guy. Pretty much anything that was tight, so it showed all your parts. It was fine.
So there were requirements. No sweatpants, Alan.
That's the quote, by the way, from the show that we'll take out. As long as it shows all your parts, you're fine. What about?
Didn't used to call it pasta. They used to call it fruit and veg.
Fruit. It all works. Well, what about the Toronto show with Lennon? Did you have any kind of dress requirements there?
No. went in the same clothes I got up in that morning. It was basically jeans and a T-shirt.
So in other words, you didn't even give it any thought? Because I would. If you're playing in front of 30,000 people, you'd at least have to take a pause and go, what am I going to wear?
What really shows off my parts?
Yeah, my fruits and
there wasn't time to even think about what I was wearing. But John wore a white suit. And then the funny thing about that first show was we were halfway through the show. I said, well, this is starting to go a lot better than I thought it would. And then Yoko got in a bag with a microphone.
I remember you telling
laid
this
on the
story.
floor, and I went, what's she doing? And then she just started to make noises. Oh, that's screaming she did. And I thought, well, that's it. I'll just give up from now on. No, it was a funny show.
The way I tell that story, because you told it last year and then I try to retell it and I don't do it justice, is that did you for a moment think there was feedback when you heard her squealing?
I did think there was feedback at first, and then I noticed there was a bag rolling around. I thought it looked like somebody caught a big cat and just...
Oh my God!
So aside from the bag, what was Yoko wearing at that show? Do you remember?
Just
aside from the bag,
all in black, I think. From what and Joan was all in white, kind of.
I went to an art exhibit that she was she was a member of this really avant-garde art group called Fluxus.
Yeah.
And they in the 80s in Minneapolis, they put on like this whole show, and a lot of her work was featured, but they couldn't feature a lot of it because Fluxus was all about happenings and getting in bags and squealing and doing things like that. But they did have a pair of Yoko Ono's hot pants, and they were auctioning them off for charity. They were this big.
Oh, yeah.
She was tiny.
Oh, she wasn't very big, no. But she had a lot of mouth behind her.
Yeah.
That's for sure. She, everything John did, he pretty much asked her if it was all right, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I did see John get annoyed at her a couple of times, and she felt like she had to be put in her place there,
Which was in a bag.
Yeah. But I remember when we recorded Imagine, and John came in and he played the song on the piano, and we all thought, what a great song. And then they gave Yoko and John gave us all the lyrics to the whole album and said, this is what you're going to be saying to the world. If you don't want to play in any of the songs, tell us, And I think they were basically referring to How Do You Sleep at Night, because it was written about Paul. And so everybody just said, no, absolutely fine. Let's carry on.
Oh, wow. That's fascinating. Alan White is here. His whole band is standing by. Let's... even though I could go on like this for hours, the guy played on Imagine, people. Do you hear that? Does that sink in?
I just want to ask one question.
Hold on.
That.
Better yet, he had the chance to opt out of Imagine. Yeah. They gave him the chance. Do you want to sit this one out? And I think you made the right call on that.
Actually, you know what I was just thinking last night before I went to bed? I thought, well, sometimes we finish shows with instant comma, and there's only about maybe half a dozen words you have to change in the song, and it could be Bin Laden's song.
Oh, huh.
And no, if you listen to all the lyrics, I was just going through them in my head. I said, this is like an anthem to Bin Laden. Instant karma's going to get at you, and it's going to knock you off your feet.
Wow.
I was going to ask you about that song, too. Like, karma now is like, a word that people are very familiar with, but when that song came out, were people like, what's karma?
No, it was a well-used word in England. It's like, you're going to get what you give kind of thing, And whatever it is eventually comes back at you.
Yeah. And when John played Imagine for you for the first time and handed you the lyrics and you read it over, did you have any... You said that's a great song, but did you have any sense like this is the song?
Well, to a degree. Not so much as it turned out to be. Because the words to that song are relative today and always will be for a long time. In fact, forever.
Yeah.
It just applies to any disruption.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a song that someone's played for you where you go, oh my gosh, this is it. This is happening.
Yeah, Imagine.
Imagine. Okay.
No, but There's some Yes songs. I mean, there's one song particularly on the new Yes album, which we're just in the process of finishing. It's pretty good, and it's called "We Can Fly From Here." But
what's it called? "We Can Fly From Here."
We can fly.
Okay.
And anyhow, the song we did actually do before many years ago in the early '80s, and. But it's been torn apart and put back together, and now it's about 22 minutes long. But that's what Yes tend to do. So,
and then at the end, Alan, just keep playing faster and faster. That's how you get out. All right, the band White is here in full complement, and that is, let me introduce everyone here. Robin Dawn on vocals, the lovely Robin right there. Standing next to her in front of the keyboards is Jonathan Sindelman. Is that right? Am I pronouncing? That's Jonathan. We've got Steve Boyce back on bass, directly over my shoulder there. And also over my shoulder is Carl Haug. Haug? Yes. Carl Haug on guitar. That is White. And, of course, Alan White has brought his in honor of Cinco de Mayo.
Well, unfortunately, we're not a mariachi band. Anyhow, this song we're going to do is off the White Album, which we released a couple of years ago, and it's a great song. We love playing it on stage. And the very end of the song is a song from Topographic Oceans from Yes, but it's the very end of the song. So.
Cool.
Where there has been doubt, now there are passing clouds in this life. There is still something true beyond the sea of light. Where there has been fear, dark skies begin to clear at this time. There is still hope for peace beyond the sea of lies.
Tyrants will come and go. Tyranny, it seems, will always exist, but they can only do what we allow them to.
Truth as it arrives asks us to change our lives, to chase the greater faith beyond the sea of life. Where leaders have failed, we the people will prevail, will survive. There is still something true beyond the sea of lies. Truth as it arrives asks us to change our lives, to chase the greater faith beyond the sea of lies, beyond the sea of lies. There is still hope for peace.
Beyond the sea.
Beyond the sea of lies.
Beyond the sea of life.
In this life.
today, call me round. Travel we say, wander we choose, love tune. Lay upon me, hold me round, lasting hours. We love when we play. We hear a sound, alter our attorney. We drift the shadows, cast our way back home. Flying home, going Look me, my love, sentences move, dancing away. We join, we receive in our song, memories long, hoping away. Ne sommes de soleil, hold me round, lasting hours. We love when we play. Ne sommes de soleil. Ne sommes de soleil. Ne sommes de soleil. Ne sommes de
Wow, that is fantastic. People, you have to, if you're not watching the webcast and you're just hearing this on the podcast, you have to understand that's a live performance here in a makeshift basement. These people are angry that they're having to perform in these conditions.
Well, we love it here.
They are professionals.
We love playing music at this time of the day.
He says, quite sarcastically, I know. No, that sounds really, man, what a voice, Robin.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
very much.
man.
Thank you.
Gorgeous. How'd you find all these people, Alan?
I don't know. They turned up my door one day.
The yellow pages.
Yellow pages. Yeah, right, Robin.
No, that sounds...
that's what I do in my spare time.
It's fun. Oh, Sean's mom. She should have been here, but she had an accident.
By the way, I was going to bring that one thing up too. You can't put the books in your regular recycling. You got to go to a special place for that.
I think now I don't know how it is outside the city, but I think the city now allows you just to dump it into the recycling bin.
Because I know my local supermarket have a thing they stick out front and
Right.
throw them all in here.
For the yellow, yeah. Gosh, what a waste of time. Seriously. Anyhow, you guys sound awesome. Please get your tickets for the Synergia Northwest show, which is tomorrow, May 6th, at the Moore Theater. It's a benefit for. I'm going to say Music Matters, but in fact, it's Music Aid Northwest.
It's Music Aid Northwest, but it's the benefit is actually for music education in schools.
That's what's important. Is there's a lot of research, and go to their website, and you'll find out about it. That students that study music do
That's
well
right, exactly right.
in other subjects as well.
I spoke to Mike Huckaby about that. I did a jam here in town with him, and he knew all the stats on everything. It's one of his biggest things.
That would suggest then, Alan, that you are exceptionally good at math. What is the square root of 256?
Music.
But there is something about that, right? That math and music are very much hand in hand.
A lot of yes stuff is basically mathematic if you work it out. It's like playing, everybody thinks we're doing incredibly clever things, but really I'm counting 10 bars of 5 and the other guy's counting so many bars of 4, and then we meet up at one point.
Yeah. So many of the artists that we have here on the podcast are just playing by gut. They write songs just on the guitar. They wouldn't know how to put down note to paper. How are the Yes songs written? Are they written, or that piece that we just heard, is that written more traditionally?
We actually rehearse them enough that everybody remembers everything before we actually record it. So,
and so there's no one writing down. I mean,
that's certain. You can sketch the outline of a song, but basically you have to know it inside out, and then you play the math with feeling.
Play the math with feeling. Another quote, although it's not going to replace "show your giblets" or "fruit and nuts."
Giblets. Where'd that come from?
That's the new one, Alan. Come on, all the kids are.
Okay.
All the kids are saying. Please, feel free.
Sure.
So when I was a youngster, I saw Yes, and I think it was In the Round. Is there an In the Round show?
Yep.
And I remember that John Anderson had his mic positioned way above his head, and it seemed like he sang upward. Was that for visual effect, or did he prefer to sing that way?
No, because we were in the round. He really couldn't get a mic stand and face it one direction, so they had the idea of bringing the mic down just like a boxing ring.
Yeah. From
That
the
was
gods.
wild.
No,
From the
but
gods.
John's got a reputation of looking very angelic, and that obviously helped.
Yeah. How is his voice now? Still as angelic as
John
ever?
had a period where he wasn't feeling very, he was really struggling. He has an asthmatic condition, and he doesn't really like doing these arduous long tours because it really drains you, the traveling and everything. But he's back on the road. He does a one-man show now. He's been doing it for quite a while. He's actually playing the Triple Door.
Yeah.
I think pretty soon.
Speaking of arduous long tours, how does Yes tour these days? Is it by bus, or do you come home every weekend?
No, we don't. I hate buses.
Yeah.
Oh, I cannot sleep on buses or anything. Usually, it depends on how far we got to go. I mean, basically, we travel by plane, but if it's within 250 miles, we'll drive.
Ooh, even that.
That takes it out of you when you do 3 shows in a row.
And do you and Gigi share the bunk?
No, we sleep in separate buses.
Wives' bus.
It's seriously better that way. If I had a separate bus, I think it might work out well as well. You guys, thank you so much for taking the time with us this morning. It's fascinating having you guys.
It's been a lot of fun.
And the music is awesome as well.
And I want to thank my band for getting up early and doing that.
Good job, guys.
Well, and to their credit, they don't applaud themselves either. So it's not like, now we can really let loose. Alan White, the band White, Synergy and Northwest, all kinds of amazing performers getting together with it's a full, is it 64-piece orchestra again?
No, it's not quite that big.
62. I think we had to get rid of those 2 hacks from last year.
Anyhow, it's mostly kind of the younger kind of part of the orchestra, and they're really great players, and they get into, it's very hard to find orchestral people who play like rock and roll. And these guys get into it.
Sean was asking before we went on, how do you select it's not like a prefab symphony.
Right?
There's one guy in particular, he writes for the orchestra, and he's a young kid, but he understands the music and understands rock and roll, so he writes in a way where it fits in.
Yeah, excellent. Well, very much looking forward to it. I'll be hosting the festivities again tomorrow, May 6th, Moore Theater, Synergia Northwest, spelled out, synergianorthwest.com, benefit for Music Aid Northwest. Sean, thank you for being here.
Marty, my pleasure. I'll see you in a couple hours, right?
Oh, that's right. And best of luck. I know when you're assuming an earthquake or something, because you're like, I'll see you in a couple hours when I take over your show and kick you to the curb. And Sean's having problems with her iPad too, and so that's all she's focused on right now.
So true.
It's the trauma of an Apple malfunction. Thanks to Yaz for engineering a very, very complex podcast here. We'll see you again tomorrow morning with another guest from Synergy and Northwest, John Popper, on the show tomorrow at 9:30.
Completely independent since 2009, this has been the Marty Riemer Show podcast. For more information about topics discussed, visit our website, martyriemer.com. That's MartyRiemer.com. Thank you for subscribing to the podcast. Tell your friends. They look nice. Oh, and to subscribe to our podcast. That too. The Marty Riemer Show is a production of Twisted Scholar Incorporated. Remember, in America, a corporation is a person too. I'm your well-coiffed announcer, Blair Schultz. See you next time. Word out.
Bye-bye, Daddy. Bye-bye, Yaz.